Learn the most advanced recruiting techniques. Land the most desirable talent. Launch your company towards massive success. This is the Higher Power Radio Show with Girard.
Hey, this is a special episode of Higher Power Radio. As I promised last week, I'm doing a video series on how to conduct an effective video interview. So I'm going to start with the structure today, and I'm going to break down exactly what needs to happen for you to develop a really effective video interview structure. Two key points of this episode are going to be talking about the timeline for an interview process and then the actual interview process itself, how it needs to lay out. So I'm just doing the framework and the structure for today, like the blueprint for how you can plug this into your business. And then next week, I'm going to delve deeper into the phone screen, the actual video interview itself, how to conduct it and how to run it, and then take it through to the decision. So it's going to be a 4-part series. So let me break it down really quickly. Let's talk about the 2 steps that need to happen whenever you set up an interview process. Like anything, you want to get these things written down. And I am going to include in this episode a template of what we've done with some of our clients in the past. It's been very successful. So I am welcoming you to take it and use it. But let me give you an understanding of what those pieces line up to be. First is the timing. The timing is super important that way it helps you to effectively pace out the process and allow people to know how much time it should take. It also makes you stick to a timeline and you don't lose people because of that. But you're going to look at a 7 to 10 business days max on your interview process. 7 to 10 days, period. And if you go past 10 days, 10 business days, then you're doing it wrong. And this is usually companies that are under 50 people. So let's break down the different elements of really what needs to happen in the interview process. So you have the review, which is when you get a resume or somebody introduces somebody to you, or you reach out to somebody and they reply and you kind of review their information, right? What you want to do is you want to look at that for about a 24-hour period. So as soon as you get somebody who submits to you any sort of information, you need to respond to that in 24 hours or make a decision on that. So if you make a decision, hey, I want to move forward to this person, then you're going to move forward to a phone screen. The phone screen, and it can be a video. Phone screens are really easily done. Now, it's not going to be a traditional breakdown of a phone screen. You need to do a really thorough phone screen to really understand who the person is. That's going to take place within 48 hours of that review. We're going to do a review within 24 hours, and then you're going to go to the phone screen, which is within 48 hours. As a startup, we want to make sure that you're maximizing your time and you're also saving the time of the people within your company that are building product. The phone screens are going to be 45 to 60 minutes each. 45 minutes for the technical and cultural interviews, and then 60 minutes you can do on the wrap-up interview. But they're going to be very deliberate. They're going to be mapped out. Everybody's going to have their questions predetermined. And then we're going to run to the video interview. So the video interviews are going to run, the process is going to be fairly simple. You're going to have 1 to 4 people. Depending on how many people you have in your process and you determine as your hiring team, you're going to have those people lined up. Interviewer 1, 2, 3 are going to have 45-minute interviews. That's going to take you to day 8 max. So that gives you the timeline that you want to have these video interviews complete before day 8. And then finally, the decision. So once you wrap up those interviews, you're going to have a 24-hour time frame for you to make a decision. The decision needs to happen within 24 hours, day 10 max. So that puts you at the timeline where you can be most effective. You can pace it out. You can convey what that timeline is going to look like to whoever you're hiring. And it makes it way more efficient on your people's time. So that's going to be the timeline piece. Now we're going to talk about what these interview steps are. Let's break down what the phone screen is. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of these few pieces so you guys have an understanding of what they entail. The phone screen is going to be one of your longest pieces, about 45 minutes to maybe an hour, where your goal is to learn about the person, to understand who they are, what they're about, and why they might be effective in your company. Your job is to understand their pain, their desire, and what impact they've had in their former organization that's transferable to your organization. Now, you're not going to pitch your company in the beginning like you typically do. A lot of phone screens usually start up by you selling your opportunity to them. We're going to reverse this completely. You're going to find out about the person first, then help to connect the dots for them so they understand how your company has value to their career. The video interviews, once we get them scheduled, here's the format. You want to make sure that you line them up ideally back to back. If you can run 3 interviews in a row, back to back, perfect. If you can't, you can split them up either 2 and 2. So you can do 2 one day, 2 another day, or 3 and 1. I would not do 1 and then 3. The reason why the 3 and 1 is your final interviewer can gather all the feedback before that person talks to your candidates. Build in a knockout question for each interviewer. If somebody doesn't make it past the knockout question, then they don't make it to the next interviewer. So you're creating an efficiency system to make sure that the person's, number one, in cultural alignment, and then also has the skills that you need in order for them to be successful at your organization. So let me break down how these interviews look like. You're either going to run a 3 or 4 person panel. I am counting the phone screen as your first line of defense. Then the second one would be interviewer number 1 during the video interview. So that should be 100% focused on cultural alignment. So pick out a couple values of your company, and that person will screen against those values. Second interviewer number 2 is going to be a skill screen. So this is where we're finding out how good they are, how much they know about what they know. If you're looking for engineers, you can run a technical test. You can run live working sessions, I think are the most effective way to do it. So give them a problem to solve with you working together with them to get an idea of how well they collaborate, how well they solve problems, and how well they communicate. Interview number 3, now this is an optional one. And the reason why I say it's optional, because you can get it done with 3 interviews total. If you've got a more robust set of values that you need to really make sure that they align with, then you can add this third person in. But cultural value alignment is going to be the focus of their interview. And then finally, the final interviewer is going to be doing the same thing. It's going to be gauging against the cultural alignment. You'll be digging into some more in-depth company value related questions. And then, of course, you're going to wrap up with spending some time doing some offer preparation. You want to make sure that you're answering any questions they might have. Then you're also helping to align them with your organization. Let them know how well you align with where they're looking to go in their career. And then finally, the final piece of this is the decision. And I like to call it an offer. Basically, when somebody makes it through this process, make a decision quickly. There's a saying, time kills all deals. It's in sales. Time kills all hires. The more time you let lapse, the more time somebody else has to get involved with that person and get them in their organization and get them interested. So it's best to give immediate feedback. If you can give real-time feedback after the interview, each segment, then perfect. That's what you want to do. But for the most part, you want to make sure that after you've gathered all the feedback, you connect the dots for them, and then you make a decision to move forward. The timeline is simple. You want to have a 10-day process to where you're going from start to finish within 10 days. And then you want to keep the interview simple and effective. So you want to start out with a phone screen. You want to run your 3 to 4 video interviews and then make a decision quickly. And there you go. You have a hiring process, which is what most people don't have. Feel free to take this and run with it. If you have any questions, please drop me a line at rick@stridesearch.com. Feel free to subscribe and look out for more content next week. And thank you so much for joining me today on the special edition of Higher Power Radio.
Thank you for listening to Higher Power Radio. Catch our LinkedIn live show every Tuesday at noon, or download the podcast on iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, or your favorite podcast platform. We appreciate you joining us on Higher Power Radio with your guide to recruitment success, Rick Girard.